NFL teams heading into the 2021 season. And they put Cleveland 1, Tampa 2, Kansas City 3, Chargers 4, and Buffalo 5. First of all, Cleveland does not do well with expectations. That's not good. The other thing, you got to be careful with Cleveland. Cleveland's got a lot of big names. You know, a lot of big names. OBJ, Baker, Kareem Hunt, Jadeveon Clowney. Yeah, OBJ's never healthy. The Browns were better when Baker threw less last year. Kareem Hunt's a backup, and Clowney's inconsistent and hurt a lot. So you got to be careful here. When I look at Buffalo, Tampa, Kansas City, I have proven performers in big games and quarterbacks I've seen at the highest level take over games. That's not what Cleveland is. You know what Cleveland's a little bit like? And most of the country will not understand this reference. If you're in Los Angeles, you totally will. We have a music festival in the desert called Coachella. Coachella sounds great. A lot of big names. You take your cool, attractive friends. You take them out to the desert. Gonna party in the desert. Ow! The girls are beautiful with their cowboy hats, and the guys are cool, and everybody goes out there, and then like 3 days in, it's like, wow, it's 108. There's 150,000 people. You can't get close. The bathroom situation is regrettable. I'm sorry, but I don't want to live in a tent, and the cool people aren't nearly as cool as you thought when there's 6 rum drinks in on the 3rd day. And then you're like, okay, I've done this like 3 years. I'm done with Coachella. Cleveland Browns have a little bit of a feel. Like there's a lot of cool stuff there, a lot of cool people. But if Myles Garrett got hurt, who on that defense do you rely on? Sheldon Richardson? They moved him. Denzel Ward? Love him. Always hurt. Jadeveon Clowney? The poster's better than the reality, right? He's one of those classic, the movie poster's better than the movie. He's a great player in spots. So John Johnson, if Myles Garrett had an injury and had to miss a month, who do you rely on defensively? I like their new secondary, but it's a bunch of kids and a bunch of new people. So I don't know what they are. You got to be careful about Cleveland. When you're listing the teams that are ready to win, Kansas City's ready to win a Super Bowl. San Francisco, if Garoppolo's upright, is ready to win a Super Bowl. Tampa just won a Super Bowl. Kansas City, Buffalo, now that they went and attacked their defensive line, they're ready to win a Super Bowl. Cleveland, I think Baltimore, adding receivers, is ready to win a Super Bowl. Cleveland, got a little Coachella. Sounds big. It sounds like the greatest time of your life. After a couple years and a few rum drinks and 5 days in a tent, you're like, it's time to go home now and take a shower. And I can't really hear because I'm like way, way, way back. And anybody seen a bathroom? Oh, by the way, we can't get cell service. That's another
performance, and the Clippers win last night. But he's taken a lot of criticism over his postseason career, and he believes he gets singled out in a negative way more than any other star in the league.
I do, and it's the honest truth. It's a fact, but I can't worry about that. It's comes with the job, I guess. But it is what it is. I still try to go and dominate. And so it is what it is. They can judge me on what they want to. That part don't matter to me. I'm going to go out there and hoop and give everything I got.
So I said, if we're going to acknowledge that Anthony Davis is actually a 2, but as talented as a 1, is it possible that Paul George, because of his inconsistency, is viewed as a 2, but he's actually just a lower-end 1, which is he does some things better than Kawhi. He does a lot of things as good as Kawhi, and he's way more available than Kawhi.
So the availability part, I agree with, because I am all in on consistency when it comes to that. Like, be there every night. That's why I think Eli Manning gets a lot of pushback, and I'm like, listen, you can think whatever you want about Eli Manning. That dude was on the field.
Every game.
You knew Eli was going to be
15
there.
15 years.
Everybody else had to figure out the injuries and whatever. Like, he did not miss a game's injury in his career. There is value to that level of consistency. Might not be the greatest, but you're going to be there every day.
Yeah.
So you know what you're going to get from him. So that part I do agree with. But he is very inconsistent in big games. So I don't think that you can elevate Paul to an actual, total 1 if I really don't know what I'm going to get from you. I might get greatness.
Okay, but it's a very good, it's the best argument against me. But do I get what I think I'm going to get out of Harden in the playoffs? Paul George is a better playoff game than Harden a lot. And that's a guaranteed one. And Harden just unravels in playoff games and gives me...
Yes, and I think that... But I think Harden gets criticism for... I think we're very high on James right now because of what we saw with him this year with the Nets during the regular season, stepping up the way that he did, playing very unselfish basketball. Like, it was a different version of James. So I think we're riding high on that. But I do think James gets a lot of criticism for his moments in the postseason as well.
But we view Harden as an absolute, no doubt about it, one, but his style doesn't get the whistle in the playoffs. He doesn't give you anything on the defensive end, and he sometimes runs out of gas.
I don't know that I view Harden as an absolute one.
Oh, I think the whole world don't they?
I think he's a superstar, but is he capable by himself of leading a team to a championship? Like, that's what an absolute one is to me.
Well, I mean, not by himself. I mean, Jordan needed Pippen. I mean...
Okay, but relatively speaking.
Yeah,
like Jordan won, no question. If I saw LeBron won, no question.
Game 7 playoff series tomorrow. Paul George or James Harden, who do you want? I take Paul George because I get a way better defensive player, and I am going to get 44 minutes from him. I know where his head's at. So
that's tough.
It is. That's what makes it confusing. Is it possible Paul George is a weaker 1 and not a 2? Because I'm watching last night, and I'm like... He is taking, and it's not just the third quarter, but as good as Devin Booker is, I think a lot of people are about ready to make him a 1. He doesn't defend at all, or he's not a great passer for a 2. He's not a great defender yet, but we view everything through the prism of his shot maker.
And I don't think, like, we talk about 2 like it's the worst thing in the world to be a 2. Like, there's roles on championship teams. It's a team effort to begin with. But there is just a little bit extra in the 1. That's the person that can, as Cedric was just saying, is that person going to take, I am going to make sure we don't lose this game. I'm going to do that. And we know they're going to go do that. We know if LeBron's like, all right, I'm going to go win this game, LeBron's going to do that. Paul might say he's going to do that, but is he capable of doing that?
If you take actual basketball fans, the knock against LeBron in the MJ-LeBron debate is Michael was better in the clutch. Okay. Using fans' arguments, playoff games are more important than regular season. Because if we're going regular season, LeBron blows Michael out of the water with every stat. So the playoffs matter more. Paul George, Game 7, James Harden in a series. I would take Paul over James Harden.
But there's like a lot of evidence that Paul's could just be completely inconsistent. He has 11 career playoff games shooting 25% or worse from the field. That's the most among all active players.
Well, he's been in a lot of them. In fairness, he's been in the playoffs every year for a long time.
Yeah, but like he's been the most inconsistent in those games. Like he is, I'm not going to bore everybody with all the numbers, but he's had some really crazy stinkers in the playoffs. There's like a reason this reputation exists.
Right.
It's not that Paul's not a great player. It's not that he's not a leader. It's not that he doesn't have the capability of greatness, because we've seen it. But it's the consistency that I think separates you from the rest of the team and the rest of the league.
And what I'm arguing is Harden has been way more inconsistent than maybe not than Paul, than we perceive. Also, maybe there's not actually that many true 1s in the league. 6.
Like LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry,
Dame.
I mean, once you start getting down the list, then you start seeing some holes in games, and then does that make you an actual 1? So really, it's defining what a 1 truly is, and maybe there just aren't really that many of them. Because I would say Kawhi is a 1, but Kawhi is also injured a lot. Where does that put him overall?
I would never build a franchise around Kyrie Irving, though I think he's brilliant. But I would never build a franchise around him, so therefore he's not a 1. I would build one around Durant.
Right. You build a franchise around Steph Curry?
Yes.
Built multiple franchises around LeBron?
Yes. Anthony Davis? No.
Because he's too inconsistent with his body.
He's not committed to the game.